Hello, I am Prithijit Ghosh. This is the Sparks Foundation Data Science and Business Analytics internship. Here we choose the task 3, the exploratory data analysis on retail data. Here we use the Tableau for our whole exploratory data analysis. Next, let's first see the state-wise profit. Here, the darker, that is the bluish shade, shows that there exists a larger profit, and the oranges shows that there exists a higher loss. So here we see that the California is extremely blue, which implies that their profit is much more larger, and Texas have a greater orangish effect. This shows that the loss here is the maximum. Now, here the Illinois, Ohio, Pennsylvania are also faces some sort of loss. Now, only the profit and loss is not anything. Therefore, we can the clear overview of this plot can be visualized by the bar plot. Here, the same color interpretation as before. Here we see that the California is the maximum and also bluish, and New York is the second largest position, but Texas follows the maximum loss. Next, here we define a new column, that is the profit margin, that is the total profit divided by total sales. This shows that the profit by corresponding to their sales. So the California shows the maximum profit or the maximum profit margin. For both of these things, these are equivalent. And Texas shows the minimum profit margin, that is the maximum loss or the maximum loss margin. So the Illinois or the Pennsylvania does not show that much of profit margin that shows in the profit figure. Next, if we try to see the regional or state-wise sales, here we see that the larger the figure is greater the sales, and uh, here we the color indicates the east, west, north, south region. Therefore, the west region, California, shows the maximum sales. Uh, East region, New York, the next highest. East Pennsylvania, the next highest. But there exists some small circle, which implies that the sales are not quite large. They are quite small in nature. So it is not clearly visualizable from this plot. So our next plot is a simple bar plot, horizontal bar plot, which implies that obviously California here the maximum, New York the second highest, and the orange shows the lowest profit. Therefore, uh, here the Texas is the lowest, and also there exists some more orange bars, shows the more loss in the whole region. Next, the sale for different subcategories. There exist some categories, there exist some subcategories. Uh, from the furniture, we see that the bookcases have a greater loss. Also, and also the tables have a greater loss. But if we select the office supplies, we see that the paper has a greater profit, and technology, here we see that phones have a greater profit. Also, machines and accessories has greater profit, which implies that technology has greater profits as well as greater sales, and office supplies has some sort of greater sales, but also there exist some losses. But furniture, the sales are greater, but there exist more losses than the profits. Now, if we choose the discount category, then we see that the furniture actually gives more discount. Technology gives small discount, but office supplies there exist for envelopes or the binders. There are more discount. There are greater discount, and for supplies for fasteners, the discount are quite small. Here, the density plot is clearly observable. Next, for sales and profit, here we plot the x-axis as sales, y-axis as profits. Then we margin the profit margin as the color indication, and the size also as the profit margin. Here the New York City has the highest sales as well as profit corresponding to the profit margin. Los Angeles is the second. Here we see the city. Next, the orange dot shows that there exists some greater loss. Here we see that San Antonio has the greater loss. Also, there exist some cities. Uh, so that's all. Next, the profit and sale comparison. This is the most important thing. If the sale is larger, the profit may not be the larger things. Therefore, the orange line here, this shows that there the sale is more or less larger, but there exists loss in the central region. Here, the west region, the sale is extremely large, also their profit, and these two are moderate. Now, for the west region, the sale is larger, also their profit is larger, and profit margin is larger. Therefore, it is the most successful region. Next, the central region shows that here the sale is larger, profit margin is negative, that is there is exist actually a loss margin, and also the profit is negative, which implies this is the most unsuccessful region. Next, if we see that the state wise quantity distribution, how much the quantity each state distributes or each state provides, then we see that California has the highest quantity, also New York the second highest, but Texas has the third highest. Also their profit margin shows that though their quantity is much more larger, their profit is relatively quite small. Therefore they faces too much losses while their quantity is really larger. Next, finally we compare all of the major fields altogether. That is, here the larger the size implies that the sales is larger. The color indicates the profit. Here in the x-axis we plot the quantity. So we see that the state California has maximum quantity, maximum profit, maximum sales. Also here the Texas has maximum loss, but it has the maximum discount, and also the sales are quite larger, and there exists some city which shows zero discount, so their sales are also quite small, but they include some profit in their domain. So finally we conclude our session with a conclusion that California and New York shows the greater profit, but Texas, Pennsylvania, Ohio shows relatively more loss than the others. But by the profit margin, we see that California shows the maximum and Texas shows the minimum. Sales on the regional basis, west and east part shows the maximum sales, and south region relatively has lesser sales. California, New York shows the heavy sales along the bigger profit, but for the Pennsylvania, sales is bigger, but also the loss is heavy. North Dakota, South Dakota, Maine not only have small sales but also small profit, which is natural. Now, for different categories and subcategories, we see that under technology, phone has both heavy sales and profit. Copier and accessories has lower sales but higher profit. Under office supplies, paper has both greater sales and profit. Supplies has both lower sales and profit. Under furniture, chair has both heavy sales and profit. But bookcases and tables have both lower sales and profit. Finally, in the conclusion region, we again include the discount prompt. That is, we see that binders have higher discount and higher profit, but supplies, fasteners have lower discount and lower profit. Quantity, if we take a look at the measure field quantity, we see that California has higher quantity, higher profit. Texas is higher quantity but higher loss. Maine has both lower quantity and lower profit. In a nutshell, finally, we can conclude that collecting all the major fields together, we find that California is higher corresponding to all the categories except discount. Texas faces a huge loss. Wyoming has the lowest quantity. Wyoming and Maine have lowest sales. Many of the state does not give any discount, but Texas gives the highest discount and maybe the cause of highest loss. Thank you. That's the end of our session.